What's up, people? Alright, I am so over interim titles, but there's 2 interim titles on the line this weekend, so I'm going to give you my predictions for this week's UFC 236. Let's do this. Alright, so I'm going to talk about all 5 main card fights this week. I've never done that before. First fight being OSP over in St. Peru versus Nikita Krylov. I'm a big fan of Krylov, the Russian. I believe he's Russian. This is his second stint in the UFC. I was very upset when they cut him the first time. I'm pretty sure he was on like a massive win streak, and then he lost one fight to Misha Serkinov, and they cut him. I was like, what are you doing? He's like a full contender in the light heavyweight division. The light heavyweight division, in my opinion, is pretty weak. That and the heavyweight division, they're both pretty weak as far as talent goes, I believe, compared to a lot of the lightweight divisions. So cutting Krylov I thought was absolutely outrageous. Since they cut him, he actually went on quite a big win streak. I think he finished 4 fights in a row in Russia, and then he's actually come back to the UFC now. Lost his return to the UFC. I can't remember who to, but he did lose his last fight. This fight against OSP is actually a rematch. OSP actually won their first fight by Von Flue. It was actually the first, I believe, of the 3 that he's got, which is a record in the UFC. OSP, he's good. Very unorthodox. He's tough as. I can't remember which fight it was where he was literally like on one leg pretty much and he ended up winning. He's very tough, very sneaky submissions. It's going to be a good fight, I think. Always find it hard to tip against Krylov just because I really like that guy. However, I mean, obviously having lost the first fight, originally I thought, no, Krylov, I'm going to tip Krylov, but no, I believe Krylov really, most of his losses are by submission. And OSP really obviously has very sneaky submissions and may very well get that submission again. I think Krylov's best chances is really to hurt OSP on the feet. OSP can get caught. He has been tagged quite a few times, I believe. So I believe Krylov's best chance is to hurt him on the feet and somehow try to finish him from there. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go with OSP on this one, possibly by submission again. However, I'm going to be rooting for Krylov. Next fight is Alan Jouban versus Dwight Grant. Big fan of Alan Jouban. He's got very strong Muay Thai. He's got some good wins on his resume. Dwight Grant, I don't know a lot about, so except for apparently he's a bit of a knockout artist, but I don't know enough. So I'm just going to go with Alan Jouban on this one. That last fight prediction is really poor, I know. But the next fight is Eryk Anders versus Khalil Rountree. This one should be an interesting one. At first I thought Eryk Anders, just because I feel like he's a little bit more, like I guess a bit more of an all-rounder. Khalil Rountree is clearly more of a striker. He's got a knockout win over Gokhan Saki. And has knocked down many people, and he also can get the job done very quickly. He's got crazy power. Eryk Anders, I believe he does wrestle a little bit more. He likes to clinch up and things like that. Eryk Anders was 10-0 in his first 10 fights. He's actually lost 3 of his last 4. I think he's on a 2-fight losing streak at the moment. At first, yeah, I did think sort of Anders for this one because of the fact that he will clinch a little bit more, maybe gas Rountree out a little bit more, but I'm starting to sort of change my mind a bit on this one. I believe if it stays on the feet long enough, I believe Rountree can catch Anders. Anders was finished by Thiago Santos, I believe. I'm going to go with Rountree on this one. I don't like banking on these KO wins, but I'm going to have to go with Rountree, and I'm going to say that he's going to get that knockout in this one. Alright, the co-main event, middleweight interim title between Kelvin Gastelum and Israel Adesanya, the last stylebender. It's going to be an interesting fight. Obviously, stylebender has had a lot of hype in his career. He's coming off a win over Anderson Silva. Gastelum, I believe, is one of the best in the division. In fact, when he was originally supposed to fight for the real title against Robert Whittaker, I did tip Gastelum in that one. I believe Gastelum is going to be the biggest test for Stylebender by far. I'm not saying Stylebender can't win, but I believe Gastelum is very durable. He's got a big gas tank, and he is a bit of a grinder, so he'll just keep coming at you. I have to go with Gastelum on this one. It'll be very impressive to see if Stylebender can win this one. If he does, my God, it's very, very impressive. His last fight against Anderson Silva was okay. I thought he was going to pull the trigger more, but he fought very cautious, I think, in that fight. Gastelum will put a lot of pressure on Israel, and should be interesting. If Israel can keep it on the feet, I think it should be interesting, but Gastelum's hands are also very deadly. He can knock out pretty much anyone in that division. It's really odd because Gastelum seems really short, I guess, for the division, but he's just so stocky. He just is so good. He poses a threat to anyone in that division. So I'm going to go with Gastelum to become the interim title and potentially go on to even beat Whittaker when they eventually meet. But look, I don't give Whittaker enough credit. I like that guy, and I know he is legit as fuck. But Gastelum, I mean, I'm just been so impressed by him for a long time. I was so sure he was going to become welterweight champion, which didn't happen, but I believe middleweight maybe where he's destined to be at. So yeah, Gastelum for me on this one. The main event, featherweight champion Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier in a rematch. Dustin Poirier obviously won their first fight, I believe, by submission, which happened a long time ago. I didn't like this fight to begin with. I think it's really odd to put Max Holloway in this fight. I mean, sure, put him in a title fight if it was the real lightweight belt, like versus Khabib maybe, but to me, it doesn't make sense to put a featherweight champion in an interim title fight. Just to me, it makes no sense, but look, it's going to be a good fight. Both guys are really tough. I've been a fan of Poirier for quite some time. He was in that documentary, I believe, what was it called? Fightville or something like that. He's very tough. He has been knocked out. He can get hurt. He's been knocked out by McGregor. He got knocked out by Michael Johnson. So he can get caught and hurt. But I feel like seems like he's just on a new level now. His fights versus Eddie Alvarez and Anthony Pettis were very, very impressive. So it should be interesting. I'm not saying that Poirier can't win this fight. He definitely can. He's obviously beaten Holloway before. If he can get it to the ground, I think he's got a massive advantage. He's got 6 submissions. He's got a crazy D'Arce choke. But how can you tip against Holloway after his last performance against Brian Ortega? I tipped Ortega for that one. Not that I wasn't making videos back then, but I definitely was saying that Ortega, I think in a 5-round fight, was going to be able to catch Holloway in some sort of submission, and it did not happen. And you saw what happened. Holloway just pieced him up. And yeah, I don't see how you could tip against Holloway after his last performance. He is just one insane motherfucker. So I'm going to have to go with Holloway on this one. However, it's going to be a good fight. Poirier is just so tough. He won't back down from a battle. But yeah, and Holloway's not really that one-shot knockout kind of guy. He's kind of more like a Diaz brother. You know, he'll wear on you and eventually put you away with volume. I'm going to have to go with Holloway, but yeah, I'm not ruling out Poirier at all. But Holloway after his last performance was just out of control. Anyway, that's my picks for this week. Should be a good card. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope you enjoyed the picks, and till next time, motherfuckers.